Cut rock candy. They begin the process by cooking the sugar and then adding the flavor. Here, the metal equipment is critical. One of their specialized tools doesn't look like a tool. It's a huge table. The top is ½ an inch of steel with a water circulation system. It's used to chill heated sugar on the table swiftly, but the non-contact portions cool slower. Their metal is all mild steel, not stainless steel, because sugar is attracted to objects at the same temperature as it is. They require the inside of the sugar to remain cool because the image candy needed to preserve the detail in place. They accomplish this by allowing the corners of the packages to cool. However, they want the outsides to be hotter so that the candy may glide around it, share its heat, and expand out to scale the image. One of the exciting things about image candies is that they are arguably the most creative and complicated candies they make. They must produce three-dimensional artwork. They wanted the light blue inside of the present to be opaque, so when they wrapped it with a clear blue wrap, the light passed through it, bounced back out, and caught your eye, making it look even more beautiful. Cloisonne, or small boxes, is the name for this technique. They're constructing a little box into which light will bounce in and out. They then pad the center with white sugar after getting the form they want. Then, they will use gravity to achieve an even taper. The entire point of this is to create a three-dimensional candy funnel. The candy is then placed on the batch roller and pulled. One person would roll the candy before they had a batch roller while another pulled it. However, after 1910, that individual was replaced with a high-technology machine. They then pull it slowly. Pulling it too quickly will cause it to snap when it's thick. They slowly draw it down and scale it with very even pressure. The parts are then cut. They do that on their canvil. This raises off the table and allows them to use their chopper to cut it. Each piece becomes bite-sized sized and contains an identical or nearly identical image. Candy canes. Coming up is the process of making the candy canes. The first step in making all the candies is heating the sugar with water. To stop the crystallization, they use sucrose and glucose sugars. Using only one sugar and water will solidify it back into table sugar and become granular. Then, peppermint is added. An ounce of peppermint oil makes 25 pounds of candy canes. They use food coloring to produce multicolored sweets. They do this to segment and separate color sections. They then whiten the amber sugar using a forged iron hook. The hook is thicker than most other hooks we see, and it radiates heat better, preventing candy from sticking to the hook. The hook they're still using today came from Mullane's, a Cincinnati store founded in 1848. It made the amber sugar white by pulling it approximately 75 times. Every time they folded it, air bubbles went inside. Those air bubbles reflect light out, making it appear white. Then they create stripes on the heating table. Not all candy canes had stripes. Initially, white candy canes were used. According to Victorian greeting cards, the first stripes appeared in the late 1800s, which is the finest method to learn about the history of candy canes, partly because they assumed peppermint was white. The twisting of white and red candy comes next. Colors in sweets can transfer from one location to another, so they must exercise caution. The crimson will leak into the white parts of the candy canes if they become too heated. To avoid this, they regulate the temperature of the candy, which is done by touch. It takes a lot of practice to get the perfect temperature for the candy's stiffness. Then, a batch roller is used to complete the twisting process. It twists and spins the candy with each roll. They first add a spiral by hand, then by machine. The final procedure is the candy cane hook shaping process. The top hook of the candy cane is bent and has the characteristics of a tube. This is because the inside white is softer than the outside white. They use their hands as if they were a plumber's tube bender. They then use a guide to ensure that they are all the same size. So that's how they're made. Drop candy. Finally, let's see the process of making the drop candy. The process still begins by heating the sugar and then adding the flavor. The sugar plum is a drop candy in which all of the colors are the same. As a result, they may be able to cheat a little. They could color and flavor the food in the pot while cooking. After cooking, they could pour it thinner and over a wider surface area on the table, allowing it to cool quicker. It simply accelerates the candy making process. The texture of the sugar can determine the temperature of the sugar, and then citric acid is added. If the sugar is too hot, the citric acid will burn. The acid is what brings the flavors together. Then the sugar is removed. To average out the temperatures, they cut it when the outside is firm and the inside is still liquid. When producing the initial shape, they want it to be more clay-like, but once it's done, they want it to be harder to preserve the shapes. To make the drop sweet, they use 150-year-old machinery created in Philadelphia by Thomas Mills and Brothers, the fruit drop roller. A fruit drop roller is used to shape the candy drop. It also provides 8 surfaces in your mouth, allowing the flavor to spread more quickly. The candy is then removed from the machine and placed on the chilling candy table. The bottom of the top is sprayed with water. As soon as the candy exits the machine, it is frozen in place. The rollers help it get into shape, but the table keeps it cool when it still has the consistency of shoe leather. They call the sheet of candy that comes out joined by sugar flash. When it gets to the machine, the flash keeps the sweet together, but they need to get rid of it. They need to separate the fragments. They accomplish this by dropping the sweets. The last thing they need to do is clean up the sugar dust left over after the flash. Various candy producers employ multiple methods, but that's how they make drop candies. So, there we have it. As it turns out, many people fail to realize that the past and the future aren't that far apart and that we're just here in the middle, looking after what's right in front of us. Keeping it in mind can help us recognize that everything is as delicious as candy that we can enjoy. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see more of this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time.